Part 2. At age 22 on your deathbed, you wish you could have lived longer. When two strangers arrange to meet in the films, it's usually somewhere a little odd, under a bridge maybe, perhaps in an abandoned shipyard if it's a big-budget production. I had always assumed that was for cinematic effect. If you want to give a liaison some gravitas, do it in a massive, desolate location. Add a few cawing birds, some torrential rain, and a moody cello, and you've got yourself a pretty solid rendezvous scene. Standing outside the Leicester Royal Infirmary at 10:55 on a sunny Tuesday morning, the logic behind these gloomy gatherings is now starkly obvious. As it turns out, there are quite a lot of people stood outside the entrance to the hospital in which I most recently died. I have no idea who I'm looking for. A woman in a blue gown has been staring at me. In one hand, she holds the stub of a cigarette clinging to its last embers. In the other, she clutches a drip that I'm certain is also holding her up. Could she be the one? What about that teenager staring at his phone through a pair of demonstrably fake designer sunglasses? He at least looks physically capable of leaving the grounds of the hospital to slip a letter through Crystal's door. 10:59. I'm nervous for what must be the first time in a few hundred years. Life, particularly when it's castrated at 22 years old, rarely throws anything new at you. I've been on hundreds of first dates, usually with the same person. I've jumped off cliffs, fired guns, swam with sharks, and even on attempt #67, unfurled my diminishing limbs across the width of a train track and waited to be killed by something far more efficient than the slow dance that is chrondosis. All of which is to say, I've usually been there, done that. On rare occasions, I've even bought the t-shirt. But this was new. I had told people in previous attempts about what was happening to me. To be frank, it was hard to keep it to myself, particularly during those early attempts. I spent most of attempt #2, after the initial sequence of nervous breakdowns, of course, going from door to door and preaching about the virtues of reincarnation. On attempt #7, the first time I really had any semblance of confidence that it wouldn't be my last attempt, I enjoyed a brief stint as a television personality, predicting unalterable events like earthquakes and tsunamis. I was brilliant at saving other people's lives, just never my own. Once, on a particularly drunken night, I even told her. This letter wasn't like anything that had come before it, though. It stands alone, a beacon of hope and fear rolled into 10 little words. For the first time in nearly 1,000 years, the trajectory of my life feels completely out of my hands. 11 o'clock. A car drives past, Oasis blaring out of the stereo. How many times had I heard "Don't Look Back" in anger across the course of my lives?